All right. Well, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, and Eddie Hearn's prediction that this fight is never going to happen. Let's talk about all of that in this video. All right, welcome back, welcome back. So before we get into the subject matter of the video, I want to ask you to please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Hit the like button and hit the share button because it most definitely helps grow the channel and it would be greatly appreciated by myself. So let's get into the subject matter of this video. Eddie Hearn is bumping his lips as usual, but in this particular instance, I gotta tell you, I think he bumped his lips in the correct fashion, and he gave an explanation for why the Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder fight might not have happened, and I think that he's pretty much dead on both aspects of it. However, the guy is without a doubt partially to blame for all of this nonsense. So what did Eddie Hearn have to say? He said, and he's telling the truth, that he had predicted before the fight had happened, that before Tyson Fury pulled out of this fight, that the Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury fight was not going to happen. Now, he says that every fight. He said that the second fight, and he said it the first fight. So I don't, like I said, a broken clock is right twice a day. In this particular instance, he got it right. The fight didn't happen. And here are the reasons that he gave. One, I believe, is true, but not the actual reason that the fight was canceled. And the second one, I believe, is absolutely the reason why this fight was canceled. Now, the first one that he says that I do believe is true, or I have every reason to believe is true, and but I don't think it's what contributed to the canceling of the fight, and that is poor ticket sales. And the second one is that Tyson Fury's camp wasn't going well. The Tyson Fury's camp not going well, that I believe I give a lot of credence to, and we'll explain both of those right now. So as far as the ticket sales not being as good as they want them to be, why would they be? Seriously, I'm a huge Deontay Wilder fan, and I'm looking out at the situation, and I think to myself, yeah, why would the ticket sales be very good? Boxing has done everything it possibly can do to ensure that the fight doesn't do well, which is what they do to black American fighters on a regular basis, trashing fighters, claiming the fight's not interesting, not putting fighters on pound for pound lists and ranking them as high as they should be. You got excellent, great fighters like Gervonta Davis and Jermell Charlo ranked well below guys that are basically like, who cares type fighters like Juan Carlos Estrada and other guys are Alexander Usyk, guys that haven't even had a legitimate win in the weight division that they've been in for 2 years. But somehow these guys make it to the list and they stay on the list. But other guys with multiple belts like Jermell Charlo or guys that obviously have elite skill sets like Gervonta Davis can't make it on the list. And guys like Deontay Wilder specifically gets torched every way from Sunday. If I had $1 for every hit piece that has been done on Deontay Wilder over the last 5 years, I think I might be able to buy myself a decent car. That is how much disrespect the mainstream boxing media gives to Deontay Wilder because they claim that he's not skilled. Well, in one instance, Deontay Wilder is not skilled enough, and then somebody that is really skilled like Floyd Mayweather Jr., where you can't even make an argument that he's not skilled. He's just boring, right? So if you're not skilled enough, but all you're doing is knocking people out and having exciting fights, that's not good. That's bad for boxing. We don't want the exciting fights with the big knockouts. What we want is really skilled fighters. But then when you have a very, very skilled fighter, you say, oh, well, that's not enough. What we really need is we need a lot of excitement and we really need knockouts. As far as black American fighters, it seems like whatever they do, they're supposed to be doing something else. And if they start doing something else, then they're supposed to be doing what they were originally doing. It's like you just can't make people happy. So as far as that, the ticket sales on that, the boxing media is behind a lot of people's disinterest in Deontay Wilder. Not to mention that Tyson Fury has very little interest in him at all, right? Like, I can't tell you anybody that I met that says, oh yeah, I can't wait for the next Tyson Fury fight. Tyson Fury's fights, if Deontay Wilder's not involved, is a bunch of and clowns and a bunch of gamesmanship. And he's fighting extremely low-level fighters, but more so than that, the guy got cheated in his biggest fight that he's ever had. That I guess maybe somebody can claim that the Vladimir Klitschko fight was big, but he got caught cheating in that fight too. He got suspended after that fight. And after the Deontay Wilder second fight, there's a whole bunch of people that were just watching the fight like, man, something is not right about this fight. Something just doesn't look right. It doesn't sit right. That's what I'd heard from multiple people who were just watching it. And you know how the mind works. Your mind is catching a lot of stuff going on that your conscious mind may not specifically start addressing in your mind, but you'll notice and see a whole lot of other stuff. And people just had this feeling that there was something wrong with the fight. Well, after that, you had people that actually did the research and said, okay, let me see what was wrong with the fight. And they find that Tyson Fury has absolutely looks like next to no padding in his gloves. He's doing horse chokes and all kind of other nonsense. Guys that aren't supposed to be throwing the towel, all kind of nonsense. So why would people be interested in that fight? You've got a guy that in Deontay Wilder who people have been tearing down like it's a full-time job of theirs, and then you have somebody that they were trying to build up that nobody's interested in because he's just not that exciting a fighter. And he lies so much that nobody really can believe what he says. Now, that is why, so if Eddie Hearn is saying these tickets aren't selling well, and on top of that you slap COVID onto it, maybe that's the case. However, Deontay Wilder didn't care about that. Deontay Wilder said you can fight with no crowd. He already made a ton of money in his last fight. In his last 4 fights, he made a bunch of money. So all he's looking for is a chance to avenge what happened to him in that fight. What has really happened is Tyson Fury didn't have a good... Well, first, Tyson Fury never wanted the fight. Tyson Fury tried to get out of the fight. He got dragged into court and then was ordered to have the fight. He then plays, goes to training camp and is acting like, okay, yeah, the fight is on, and then he gets sick. And I believe if they reschedule to September, he's gonna get sick again, or he's gonna try to retire. The only thing that's gonna force Tyson Fury to fight that fight is the fact that he's gonna have serious financial ramifications if he doesn't do it. So, like I said, Eddie Hearn is I would say, right twice a day on this one. However, I also said that he is a major part of the problem that is going on here. He is the main guy, main promoter tearing down Deontay Wilder. Like I said, like it's his full-time job, trying to pawn him off on some secondary fighter like Dillian White, and avoided for 2 years a fight between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. And at a certain point, maybe a year and a half of that, they could have easily been gone for undisputed. But he didn't want that fight because he knew, like Teddy Atlas said, that he would be crazy if he put Anthony Joshua in there with Deontay Wilder, because Deontay Wilder is going to knock this guy out. And that's what was going to happen with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. Anyway, so that's what Eddie Hearn has to say. Again, if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel, share the video, hit the like button. And with that, I'm out. Peace.